Hello there, a very good evening and a warm welcome to Bottomline Africa. My name is Yusuf Ibrahim. It's exactly 3 minutes past 10. We are right in time for your favorite Pan-African show. And tonight, at this hour, this moment, a parliamentary sitting, that is the EU parliamentary sitting in France, is still debating Kenya's political situation. Actually, I'm told it's just ended. We have some contributions from members there. There are those who are calling for Kenya to hold some sort of a constructive dialogue that is between the two main protagonists, NASA and Jubilee. They're also saying IEBC, the electoral body, must regain the trust of Kenyans first. At the same time, they're calling for the independence of the judiciary, and they're saying that should be respected by all Kenyans. What does that debate mean for Kenya? I mean, that is a big question tonight. We have a political analyst in studio. I'm going to engage them shortly. But first things first, let's take a look at Africa in 60 seconds. EU Parliament debates Kenya's election despite protest from Kenya's government. Salif receives award just a day after she was expelled from the ruling party. And tonight, Kenya's opposition holds secret meetings to keep unit together ahead of the planned swearing-in of Raila Odinga as People's President. Once again, my name is Yusuf Ibrahim. On our Twitter poll tonight, we're asking you, do you think EU's parliament will help push electoral justice in Kenya? Do you think EU's parliament will help push electoral justice in Kenya? They have been debating matters Kenya for the last 1 or 2 hours, and that debate comes right after a report was released a few days ago by the European Observer Mission in Kenya, where they have released some sort of a 29 kind of recommendations that will help push electoral justice in Kenya. So we would like to hear your view. You know the drill. Our Twitter handle is at KTN News. You can as well tweet me at Yusuf Ibra. The hashtag to use is Bottomline Africa. Now, let's begin with our top story there. And the European Union today debated Kenya's political crisis following the 2017 controversial general election that saw President Uhuru Kenyatta re-elected into office. Now, according to the head of the EU Observer Mission to Kenya, Marie Shaka, the debate is centered on an election report released in Brussels, that is in Belgium. The report was released in the wake of calls by the Kenyan government for a postponement to March 2018. Shaka, however, declined to shelve the release to a later date, saying this goes against a memorandum of understanding between Kenya and the observation mission. Now, the Kenyan government has since termed the release unprocedural, disdainful and condescending.
It was hoped that the historic ruling of the Supreme Court last September calling for fresh presidential elections would have made way for a new and fairer poll. However, evidence shows that, on the contrary, independent institutions were attacked by political leaders, the police again used disproportionate force, and the independence of the judiciary and the Electoral Commission were still put into question. It's particularly worrying that the Supreme Court was unable to hear a case seeking postponement of polling the day before the fresh election was due to take place due to the lack of a quorum of judges. Was pressure applied on the judges not to turn up on the day, I ask? It's also deeply regrettable that opposition candidate Raila Odinga felt he had no choice but to withdraw as a candidate. Where does Kenya go from here? The weight of responsibility now clearly lies on the shoulders of the Jubilee Party and President Kenyatta. The world will be watching closely. It's a testament to the courage and resilience of the Kenyan people that their country has not descended into a civil war, frankly. Kenya must now come together again to uphold the rule of law and fundamental freedoms that are indispensable to a flourishing, democratic, modern nation. The EU and the African Union must fully support Kenya in all these aspirations. Thank you.
It's time for the government and the opposition to engage in a constructive dialogue in a reconciliation spirit. It's time for the Kenyan politicians to bring the people together and work towards an inclusive and socially cohesive society for all Kenyans. Political parties have an important responsibility in this process, including by becoming more programme and more policy-focused, and overcoming their reliance on ethnic divisions.
It has laid bare existing tensions and created new ones that all Kenyans suffer from. No, the standoff has not resulted in as many casualties as in the past, but every death, and every death by a police bullet, is one too many. Some Kenyans complained that the world only has attention for the country when tensions escalate into violence. And I believe the EU should be smarter and engage Kenya on core topics that benefit all Kenyans. Strengthening the rule of law and good governance, supporting civil society and respect for human rights, fighting corruption and overcoming ethnic tensions. These are just a few areas that I think we hear not enough about, while we hear lots about countering terrorism and trade and other such issues.
That's Maria Shaka making her contribution a while ago concerning, of course, Kenya's situation. In her earlier report that was released a few days ago, these are some of the highlights. She did say that, you know, there was some sort of a paying of people to attend rallies, use of state resources during campaigns. I'm going to discuss that in detail. That is going to form the basis of our discussion tonight. Once again, on our Twitter poll, we are asking you, do you think EU's parliament will help push electoral justice in Kenya? Do you believe EU's parliament will help push electoral justice in Kenya? Twitter handle is at KTN News. You can as well tweet me at Yusuf Ibra. The hashtag is Bottomline Africa. Now, let me bring you back home and over to the opposition politics and Kenya's National Super Alliance Principles meeting, which remained shrouded in secrecy, entered its second day today as the top leaders are reported to be engaged in talks to mend reported cracks within the coalition. And as Jeff Kirui now reports, NASA is expected to head to Kambani on Friday to drive People's Assembly in the region as they gear towards their planned swearing-in ceremony on the 30th of this month. That report by Jeff Kirui, you can get it, of course, on our YouTube channel. But for now, let's just listen to some of the sound bites there. Let me now take you to the west of the continent. An outgoing Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf has been lauded as a visionary leader by the head of the Africa Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina. Now, this was during a ceremony where Sirleaf was awarded the country's highest civilian award. Now, this comes in the wake of Sirleaf's expulsion from Liberia's ruling party on Sunday for not backing her Vice President Joseph Boakai's presidential bid. The move has since been condemned as illegal by the office of the president.
Authority in being vested as Grand Master of the Orders of Distinction of the Republic of Liberia State.
And so we, at the African Development Bank, salute your visionary leadership, your legacy, and your many successes. We also look forward to a continued and strong partnership with the new administration. I have no doubt that together, we will score even more spectacular development goals for Liberia. Madam President, you are a jewel of Africa.
Now, Uganda's Patriotic Defense Force spokesman, Brigadier Richard Keremire, has reiterated the force's resolve to quash a rebel group known as Allied Defense Force. The Democratic Republic of Congo recently launched a military assault against the Ugandan rebel force that is suspected to be behind the killing of 15 Tanzanian UN peacekeepers in December. Now, according to Brigadier Keremire, the DRC only needs to put in a request.
Is not linked to that mechanism.
For a long time, you know, when we set up the joint mechanism, some refugees. Do you monitor this area also?
If there is need, we can give them support. Yeah, this support does not mean going into the DRC. We still have our Air Force assets. We have our artillery assets that can be used to support the FADC in case of need and in case they request for the same. One of the suspected elements that could have attacked Beni could be the ADF, of course, who are on the run, who are facing a bit of music as a result of the offensive launched by the Congolese army. And of course, as a result of the strikes by the UPDF. Before, the estimates were between 700 and 900. So if we have knocked out about 100, still the number still remains reasonable, around 700. The arms, okay, some were destroyed, but others were not. And they still have the capability to attack any units and secure more arms. They can easily get arms from some of their funders or the supporters. So the threat really still remains.
Now, the trial of Moses leader Kouassi and ex-minister former Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo has kicked off in Abidjan. Kouassi was one of the first of Gbagbo's allies to be arrested in connection to the country's post-poll crisis in the year 2010. The election was followed by a 4-month state of political limbo that was characterized by violence as Gbagbo refused to hand over power to the winner then, Alassane Ouattara. Kouassi is just one of 23 former government officials served with arrest warrants after the political dust has settled. Now, at least 7 people were killed and many others injured in 2 gas explosions in Lagos, that is in Nigeria. The first explosion is said to have occurred in Magodo area, while the second in Badagry. Of course, the injured are said to be in critical condition and receiving treatment at local hospitals. It is suspected that those affected include both staff members and clients of the 2 gas companies.
I believe government will look into it, and government will look into the cause of the fire. But sincerely, along this corridor, I don't think we should have anything like this here. If not for the timely intervention of the Lagos State government, it will have been another thing. Some residents, they have called me this morning that they couldn't believe it. Some said they will go and check their roofs and all that. So where we have people living, where people are residing, we should try as much as possible to move things away, things like this away. They can sell gas, but they shouldn't be refilling gas there.
Now, up north, that is north of the continent, and about 360 African and Arab migrants on Monday rescued off the coast of Tripoli, that is in Libya, according to the Libyan Coast Guard. Now, rescue operation was kicked off following distress calls from the vessel that was 60 kilometers east of Tripoli. More immigrants were also rescued in Zuwara, west of the city, and the said migrants were later taken to anti-illegal immigration reception centers.
يعني وجدنا القوارب يعني في وضعية لا بأس بها.
We found the boats in an acceptable situation and the rescue operation went well without any accidents. Thanks to God, we returned them to the Tripoli maritime base. There was about 360 migrants from different Arab and African nationalities.
مهاجر من جنسيات عربية وأفريقية مختلفة.
Now, the South African port city of Cape Town is suffering from a serious water shortage due to an unprecedented drought, which has left dam levels at about 30% capacity. Now, this shortage has led to the municipality there raising existing water restrictions to level 6. This means that households using more than 10,500 litres a day will now be fined or have water management devices installed on their properties. The city's day zero will come when all the reservoirs are empty. Authorities say this could be in early May. The level 6 restriction measures affect all sectors, including domestic, industrial and agriculture, in a bid to stretch out the water remaining.
I think it's an issue in terms of swimming in pools, because a lot of people would like to do that. And if they know that they're going to come to South Africa and they're not going to be able to do that, or, for example, they're not going to be able to shower without, inconveniences, it might also have an effect.
I think day zero is going to happen whether the government wants to do it or not. I think the water is going to run out. And it's very scary to think of it, but I think it's a reality. And we definitely have to do our part and use as little water as possible.
When we look at day zero, why are we looking at day zero? Are there no other alternatives other than to close up my hotel or switch off all the taps? There are alternatives, and there are countries in this world that have proven that there are ways to deal with drought and with desert regions.
Now, onto some regional politics, and Burundi says it will not recognize the newly elected Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly until heads of state meet to resolve this standoff. Now, the country's first Vice President, Gaston Sindimwe, says his country is concerned about what they see as a violation of the East African Community laws in the election. In an exclusive interview with KTN News, the VP also defended his country's human rights record. Joageo Hasmo.
The Burundian first vice president is on a private visit to Kenya, but his trip comes against the backdrop of major developments involving his country. Only last month, Burundian MPs at the East African Legislative Assembly boycotted the election of the Assembly Speaker, saying the move had violated the law. Sindimwe says the position will not change unless the heads of state in the region step in to resolve the matter.
Nchi zote tuko katika jumuiya ya Umoja wa Afrika wa Mashariki. Lazima tunapata sheria. Lazima tufuate sheria. Sasa sheria inasema aje? Kwa kusema uwe speaker ni aje? Ni hayo watatuelezea kama viongozi ili tuweze kutatua tatizo hilo.
Burundi has been in the midst of political uncertainty for years now. But the situation was exacerbated by the failed coup attempt in 2015 following the decision of President Pierre Nkurunziza to run for a third term. Several incidents of violence have been reported in the country since then, with some international organizations and Burundian opposition parties accusing the government of gross violations of human rights.
Hawezi ukasema demokrasia hakuna, sababu wenyewe wametaka kupindua serikali kwa nguvu. Wakashindwa. Sasa hiyo ni demokrasia aje? Sisi tunaliita demokrasia ni utawalaji wa wanadamu, wananchi wenyewe wanajichagulia wenyewe watawaongoza. Sasa mpaka leo wenyewe wanaongoza nchi wamechaguliwa na wananchi. Sasa utasema aje si demokrasia? Ndio, nchi zetu zote za Afrika demokrasia ingali changa. Lazima sasa tuende polepole ili demokrasia iingie katika mioyo na fikira za waraia wote wa Burundi.
In the wake of the 2015 coup attempt, Burundi accused its neighbor Rwanda of supporting the coup plotters. In fact, Burundi slapped Rwanda with an export ban, effectively shutting down formal trade between the two countries. That situation, says the VP, is far from resolved.
Rwanda hapo awali imefanya tatizo na wenyewe, wakasema kama nchi ya Burundi inapatia fasi wale wanachochea chuki katika Rwanda. Tumeambia ndugu zetu karibu ndani, njoo mtizame. Wamekuja wakatizama, wakakuta mambo ni shwari. Sasa na sisi mahalifu wote tumekamata, silaha nyingi tumekamata, zote zinatoka kwa nchi ya Rwanda. Tunaambia sasa vipi nyinyi wa ndugu zetu? Hawa wametoka kwenu, hawasemi kitu.
Je, kuna mazungumzo yanaendelea?
Hapaja kwa mazungumzo, sababu katika mataifa tuliyo nayo katika CIRGL, katika Umoja wa Nchi za Afrika za Mashariki, tunaomba tutie kundi likwenda kuchunguza nani amesema uongo kwa wengine, ili sasa tukishapata haki ili twende tuzungumze, twende fanye turekebishe aje. Hiyo ndio inabaki tu.
Burundi is attempting to jumpstart its economy after years of political turmoil, and the vice president says mining activities are getting underway in parts of the country. Joageo, KTN News.
Well, and that report takes us to a very short break, but when we return, we'll have a lot more still lined up for you, including our studio discussion. And earlier, we did ask you on our Twitter poll if you think EU's Parliament will help push electoral justice in Kenya. Apparently, the EU Parliament are discussing Kenya's last year's election. So we are asking you, do you think EU's Parliament will